the fall, and in your mind the clouds have been gathering. You may feel hopeless, but I'll never let you go. Fly through the stratosphere and then I'll rip and scream it from your soul. Oh, we'll watch it fall. Now your clouds are all gone. Will you follow me when the sky starts to change? Yeah, we won't be afraid. We'll never be the same again.
Yes, don't forgive you. Welcome to the Stampede. Legendary Vash to give you the run of the night. We are here for season 2 of Weebs of the Ring, starting the year right. Our first ever 3-hour Smackdown in 2025. How was it for everyone? I like it. It was good pacing. We got what we wanted. Because our main story is Tiffany Statton finally cashes in Money in the Bank on Nia Jax, and then involving our poster boy Cody Rhodes, who gets face to face with Drew. Wait, what does Watkins call him again? It's the big Scottish daddy Drew McIntyre. And then the rest of our mid-card stories are the Temu Bloodline versus Yeet, No Yeet, and Sami Uso as the main event. The U.S. title match of Nakamura versus Andrade, which was that presentation is fucking fire. Hopefully it doesn't die out like usually. The tag team title drama and who hurt the Street Profits. The questions continue. And lastly, Michin versus Piper Niven. So let's get ready to start the show and wrestle for the Weebs of the Ring episode 101.
That's right. You guys just heard the rundown, lowdown of this SmackDown Friday night. And we are here to fight. We are here to talk. It is season 2. It is the whole team here. It is all three of us. We have Vash without the camera. We have Drop here to give us the lowdown, the genius that he has. And of course, your world champion is back once again. And not only that, who are we? Who are you? I will tell you exactly, because we have a motto, we have a saying. It is not only just that, it is a creed. It is what we are about. For you see, it's not only just an opening, it is exactly what we are. Because with anime in our souls and thoughts of wrestling out of control, we are a group of weebs who love the entertainment of professional wrestling. So allow us to be the voices inside of your head as we go through the wrestling event of the evening, give our thoughts and predictions on what's to come, and provide an experience inclusive to all you nerds out there. So be sure to grab your steel chair, yell for the table, and get put through an experience unlike any others before. Brought to you, of course, by Anime Studio. This is the Weebs of the Ring podcast. That's right. I am back from my sickness, and I'm still not 100%, but I'm here, and we're going to celebrate our new season, new horizons. It's 2025, a brand new year to get things rolling, get the ball going. I am still very, very rusty, even though it's been like a week and a half, but that's what a week and a half and the holidays will do for you. I am never alone, of course, because two lovely gentlemen who were able to hold down the fort while we were not all together, they are here to join me in discussing our 3-hour SmackDown. Of course, we have Vash, the visionary, who you cannot see him right now. He's doing his best John Cena impression right now.
Yes, I
Cause
am.
yeah. But
You cannot
Vash, how
see
you
me,
doing tonight?
but we have entered the farewell tour of John Cena, so we also will be entering this around Netflix. If you want to see that, and I am the visionary, legendary Vash, as Watkins they call, because if you heard last week's SmackDown coverage, myself and Drop predicted this, been saying this, that this would be the best way to open Friday Night SmackDown, the first 3-hour episode of SmackDown 225, and they did it well. We also had, hey, maybe kill three birds with one stone type of thing, but no, one stone happened and one bird
Fine
got
with
hit,
that.
so one checklist happened. But we back, and it feels great time to start the year with our girl Tiffany Stratton to be the champion. So congrats to her.
Yes, many congrats along the
So
ways,
many
and
things.
hopefully her and Kaiser celebrate very, very well tonight. And of course, as
Yeah.
always, we got the genius of the mat himself. Drop this box. Drop. How you doing tonight?
Feeling pretty good, man. I mean, it was a very emotional moment tonight. Like, if you guys see in the social media, if you follow me on there, I posted my raw reaction to the cash in from Tiffany. I also posted another video of me reiterating what I said when it came to starting off the year with a bang and Triple H. Definitely headed down that direction. So I am super happy. I mean, honestly, just once we get into our headline story, I know there's going to be like so much joy to talk because it's one of those moments that make us love wrestling because we get to experience like magic like this. And it's going to be
Yep.
really fun to talk about.
That it is. So, without further ado, we're going to go right into our headline story because I'm not going to ramble too much. Again, a little bit rusty from being sick and not having a voice for almost a week. Man, it freaking sucked not being able to talk at all. Like, I had to put a lot of things to the side, but we're gonna spend some time talking tonight because Tiffany Stratton finally cashed in her
Oh.
money in the bank. No more like looking like a
Wow.
deer in headlights. No more being confused about if she's gonna do it or not. Nah, we had. Oh, she even got the finger point. She even
Yeah.
got the Triple H finger point backstage. It is now official. She is our WWE Women's Champion, taking out Nia Jax, taking out Naomi, taking out Bianca, even giving Candice LeRae a nice little stray. But you know what? This all didn't start, all these things have to start with a match, obviously. And we had this announced with Nia Jax taking on Naomi. And I know you guys had mentioned that this match felt like it was put together just to lead up to this. And I mean, I kind of agree with you guys. Like, this was something that, like, as soon as you saw it and you were like, okay, they've had a match before, but I mean, things were fine. The match was fine beforehand. So it's just like, why are we doing this? Oh, wait, Tiffany still has the briefcase. I guess we're going to cash in. I guess we're going to start the year off with a bang. Great. Don't screw it up, Triple H, which thought he was going to, but I'm glad he didn't. How are we feeling about this cash in? I know, like, me personally, I kind of jumped on the Tiffany bandwagon when she was doing her feud with Becky, because I think that really kind of elevated her tremendously in that feud. But that's kind of when I kind of was starting to get on the Tiffy Time bandwagon. Vash, I'm going to start with you because I think you also kind of jumped on the bandwagon around that time as well.
Yes, you are correct. You and me both jump in late. I got introduced. If anybody that watched our first phase, our season one of Weebs of the Ring, yeah, we heard that drop got me into NXT back in 2022 in the end. So I saw the end of the current character that is Tiffany Stratton right before she, Daddy Girl, the character and the other stuff that I didn't get to see but I've heard of. So I really was glad to see her last final run as a champion in NXT and then feud with Becky and then see her at the main roster to see how much she has grown. And could have said that this little mean girl vibe with Nia Jackson, they could have run better, yes. But this character was really great to see after 3 to 6 months now, finally with Nia Jackson and everything, get the championship. It was amazing to see. As a short time fan, at least, I was very pleased.
So you were pleased. I was pleased, but I know somebody who was greatly, immensely, magically
Yes, he
pleased
was.
tonight. And you'll see his reaction going up on social medias later on. But Drop, I'm gonna transition to you right now because you've seen and watched Tiffany Stratton's rise to glory throughout like the past 2 years she's been part of the company.
When she was
So
on.
I kind of want to hear from you, just like your thoughts, your media reactions, just like everything that was going through your mind during this segment, because I know you have a lot of stock going into everything with Tiffany Stratton. So lay it on us.
So when it comes to my overall relationship with Tiffany Stratton, when it comes to finding out about her for the first time, this was around the time when NXT Level Up was a thing. And she was on there. And they normally have a lot of superstars on there before they air, like before they're put on to NXT TV. And they pretty much just have like a little trial run, see where they can go. And then from there, obviously, they move on to NXT and they showcase what they're made of. So initially, at first, Tiffany was really trying to find her place when it came to how she wanted to portray herself in WWE. She had this little daddy's girl gimmick going on where she used to walk around with a purse and stuff like that, which you can get because you could see that look on her when it comes to that overall image of a character like that. But after a while, she just found her place in line And then she obviously had that moment with Becky, which really elevated her. And that's not even like an exaggeration or anything. Like, it legit elevated her to a new level. It put her on the map, just like how Becky did with Lyra. It helped elevate her and put her on the map. And then we see Tiffany debut in the main roster, I believe, around February, March, I can't remember, of last year. And it's just crazy to see within 2 years that Tiffany's in this spot that she's in now. And that's been a common thing a lot of people have been saying. A lot of people are like, wow, it's just crazy to think that this woman was able to achieve all of this in like that short of a time. Because you would expect this maybe 2 to 3, 4 more years down the line this would have happened. But she did it within not even like 3 years. And she was able to elevate herself to be in this spot. She was able to get the approval from the audience when it comes to her promo work, when it comes to her in-ring ability. And it's just really nice to see everything come full circle. That's why I wanted to put out a video tonight, just giving my raw reaction, because I just want to look back at that whenever I'm in the mood where I'm like, you know what, I want to go back and watch my reaction again when Tiffany became WWE Women's Champion for the very first time. And that's just something that's special for anybody in the business when you get that first title win. And you can go back and watch it happen with a lot of superstars. I mean, look at how emotional people were last year when Cody beat Roman at WrestleMania 40. It was a very emotional moment, something he always wanted to do with throughout his life. The first time is like always very special, and it just made me very happy to see her put in this position. And one of the best things about this is what we saw here tonight. Even though Tiffany Statton is already a star, a new star is born. And what I mean by that is by her becoming champion now, that elevates her to a new level. And then that opens the door for her to grow and just be put on this path that she needs to be on when it comes to elevating the women's division where it needs to be in the future once Becky, Charlotte, and all of them aren't there anymore. And I'm very happy. I'm happy for what happened tonight. And I do have confidence in Triple H when it comes to creating new stars with the Money in the Bank. I mean, it did wonders for EO. EO is in a great position right now. I mean, even with Damian Priest, he's in a great position right now. Tiffany Statton, I have no worries of where she's going to be. I don't think she's going to be an afterthought or anything along the lines of that. I'm just really happy to see that she finally got her moment. And just to close this off so we can, obviously talk more about what happened. This is basically what we were saying. You need to start off the year with a bang. You need to show, okay, 2025 WWE is going to be fucking wild. We're heading into Netflix and doing all of that. This is how you make a statement entering that era, and you got my seal of approval with that. Sorry to go on that little tangent, but I was very happy.
No. Tangents are very much appreciated, especially especially if I'm still like recovering and all that too. So, but like, I do want to ask too, especially with like us spending months with Tiffany Statton holding the briefcase and all that, and with like many teases of her cashing in, between like war games, between just like Nia being down and like all that stuff. Like, do you think that this was the perfect moment, or do you think that maybe this could have happened earlier? Like, do you think this was the opportune time, or was it just like too, I don't want to say too late, because like it didn't feel like it was too late for me, but like especially when we got the announcement of this match, because like one thing with the Money in the Bank, which I appreciate, is really just the surprise of it all, and like the just like the cash in can happen at any moment, and we went months with her teasing the cash in and all that. So do you think the wait was actually worth it with all those teases, or do you think like maybe we could have had less of those teases to make the moment mean maybe a little bit more to some people?
So my initial thoughts on that is my original thought process when it came to the cash in, the way that they were building the story around the fall. I thought it would have made the perfect sense to happen at Bad Blood. considering what was
Mm.
going on with Tiffany Stratton at that time, and Nia Jax pretty much just had her in a chokehold. And the way that they ended that SmackDown that night was almost telling me that she's gonna come in and cash in her contract and finally stand up to Nia because of all the bullshit that's going on. I thought that was the initial moment. And then I will agree that, we had the constant teases happen all the time. It did get a little tedious. Um,
Mm.
but I do believe, looking at it now, especially with what I said about making a statement for the new year, because this is something that you're going to see in a compilation towards the end of this year, where everybody's reflecting back at all of these moments happening in 2025, and you're going to see that cash in of Tiffany Stratton on that list. So I'm very happy that they did it right here, because I was talking to myself and I was like, what is the deadline for this? Because I don't want to see this at WrestleMania. It really wouldn't make sense, especially with the sort of mindset where we
Right.
think she's going to go down, which we'll talk about. But I just feel like the deadline to me was either this show or at the very latest, Royal Rumble. But even I wasn't
Mm.
really that big of a fan of that, so I felt like this had to be the destination, and I'm glad that everything came together. So that was really good.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree too. Like there were certain moments. I thought for me personally, I would have had it at War Games because that would have
Yeah,
been not only a statement, but that would have been some sort of historical moment there
yeah,
too. But like, because that failed cash in really just kind of ate at me. I'm just like, okay,
yeah.
come on, people, let's freaking cash in. Come on, let's do it.
Fun
Let's have it just done and have it happen.
fun
But like,
fact. The
mm,
fun fact though is when it comes to these women's championship matches,
mm,
well, when it comes to these cash-ins, the women's been 100% successful, which is crazy to think of.
yep. Oh yeah, like we haven't had a failed cash in yet, which is good. But I don't want to sit here, nitpicking everything because like
Yeah,
I do want to, enjoy. We should enjoy the moment, just like as Tiffany should be enjoying the moment right now, because like she cashed in, she got the championship. She is now the WWE Women's Champion, and that belt just looks really good on her. Like I don't know if I can't remember if I was on the show when I said this statement or if it was in one of our DMs, but sometimes a person in a championship come around and it just looks right on them. It just looks perfect and like aesthetically it is just amazing,
mm,
And I thought that with Chelsea Green with the US title, again, for example, like when they did the change like a few years ago and Bobby Lashley got it, I thought it looked great on him, like the new design and all that. And the WWE Women's Championship on Tiffany Stratton just looks perfect. Like that's just a match made in heaven
mm,
right there,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
That's one thing I did notice, like seeing the pictures of her and Triple H, seeing the pictures of her
Hmm.
by herself with the title. I mean, it literally fits her like so well, and that's one thing I
Yeah.
like about the titles. Is like sometimes when it comes to like a certain person who has that title on them, it just works well with them, and it's almost like you're trying to put together an elf. You want to make sure you have things that match and colors that go together. That's the thing
Yeah.
with Tiffany in that title. It just looks so good on her. Just seeing the images that we got so far, and I like it. Good decision, man. And Triple H
Oh yeah.
is hopefully gonna spoil us these next couple days of three other new champions. I have to wait the following
Hmm.
week for that one, but I am very
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah, and I think one thing too I like about this is so like correct me if I'm wrong. They've mentioned that at least in reports and all that that Monday is going to be the start of like the road to WrestleMania
Yeah,
basically. Like
yeah,
that's going to be like our start for Mania.
yep.
So it's like, okay, well, let's backtrack a little bit. What is SmackDown? Because like SmackDown started before the Raw to
Yeah.
Netflix and all that. So like what is SmackDown statement? And I think SmackDown overall tonight was really setting the tone for the year. So it's
Hmm.
like this is the start of our
Yeah.
road for the whole year because it's like we started off like the big thing was the cash in, and we'll get into everything else later on, with the show tonight. But I think it really started laying the groundwork for what we're going to be getting in WWE this year, and like
Yeah.
some of the big players and all that, and like some of the stories that will be pushing forward, maybe some allegiance changes and all that, or some like unknown team ups and all that, but we'll get into those here in a little bit. But like, I do want to get just a little bit into this match itself,
Yeah.
because like this didn't all just have to deal with Tiffany Stratton and all that. We had other women involved as well. We had, of course, Nia Jax and Naomi taking on each other as well for the women's title, and I thought they put on a good match. I mean, their match before, I thought this was way better than the other
Mm-hmm.
match that they had. What was it, like a month or two ago?
Mm-hmm.
Like Nia just continues to improve each and every time that she's in the ring, and it's a really great thing to see because like for years people were dunking on Nia, just like how bad she was and how she was injuring people and hurting people, blah blah blah, all that stuff. But like ever since she came back last year and ever since she's won this title too, like she's been on another level. And I do want to give her flowers because like I was one of those people that did not like Nia Jax. In fact, I'm pretty sure I was even on this podcast a couple of times being like, her character, I get it, is trying to be cringy, but it's too cringy for me. I am not enjoying this at all. But like, no, I've enjoyed Nia Jax's run, like looking back on all of it and seeing where we are with the end point of it. I thought it was really good, and this match really solidified it. Like there were some spots here, like the one that just sticks out to my mind is there was a moment where Nia was going for a Samoan drop on Naomi, and Naomi countered into like a crucifix bomb kind of thing. And like, first of all, great on Naomi for pulling off that move, but to pull it off on somebody like Nia, which of Nia's size, obviously, like I'm not gonna shy away from all that, but like
Yeah.
from somebody with like Nia's size to not only like take that move, but able to like perform that move as well on her end was really impressive too. And like there was another spot where like Naomi countered from like a top rope move into like a suplex, or like I think it was like a body slam of her own onto Nia. Like so I just want to give Nia her flowers a little bit for the work that she's put in and able to kind of help elevate Tiffy as well, because like it kind of sucks when I can imagine like being told, hey, you're getting cashed in on, you're gonna lose your title. Like that's gotta kind of put something in your mind being like, okay, this sucks that my title reign's coming to an end, but you know what, I'm helping the future come up, I'm helping the business with what's going to be coming through, and I did my part, it's somebody else's turn now. But yeah, I thought the match was really, really good. Kind of started slow, but it did pick up around like the second commercial break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like it was, looking back at it now, I felt like it was done by design just because it was pretty much trying to prolong what we eventually saw with Tiffany later in the match. But one thing I do want to say, like outside of what we talked about before with Tiffany Stratton, I mean, we can go on and forever talk about that. She's going to have a great future. I already know that. But one thing I do want to say about Nia Jax and Naomi that I know a lot of people have been saying, they have good chemistry with one another. That's one thing I have noticed when it comes to the people that Nia Jax has been in the ring with, when it comes to like Bailey, who else was in there? Can't remember on the top of my head. Like outside of Bailey, Michin, I believe she had a match with her.
Yeah.
And then
Did
there
she
was
have a match with Bianca?
She did have a match with her during like the Queen of the Ring tournament thing.
Okay, that's probably what I'm thinking of then.
But it's like talking about like the matches that she had like the championship with.
Yeah.
I would have to say that Naomi probably brought the best out of her when it came to their in-ring chemistry. That's something that I definitely noticed when it came to both of them being in the ring, because it's just something that you notice. Like when you put two people inside of the ring, you have them go back and forth with one another, you always see like that extra spark come out when it comes to those two people. Like, remember when we like saw Cody and Seth when they had those trilogy matches? You just saw that spark that they had with one another. or it's like all these years ago you saw it with like The Rock and Stone Cold. Not saying it's at that level, but you pretty much have like that perfect dance partner where it's like
Yeah.
when you put those two people in the ring, they can work well with one another. It doesn't have to be like fantastic matches all the time, but the fact that they both know each other very well and they're able to put on a match and have all of these spots on here is it's pretty cool to see, because I can't even begin to tell you like how many times I've seen Nia actually go on the top rope and perform a lot of different moves. I'm going to be careful by saying move sets because I know Punk isn't a big fan of that. But you see like a lot of nice spots when it comes to like what Nia was doing, like going up the jump rope. She did that leg drop and everything like that. You even see Naomi pulling off a Samoan drop of her own, doing the submission.
That was bonkers.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, that was so beautiful to see.
Yeah.
She learned that from Jimmy. She learned that shit.
Oh
from
yeah,
Jimmy.
definitely, for sure. I mean, she is a part of the family by marriage, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's like that's one thing I do want to compliment them on when it comes to like the trilogy of matches they had, is the fact that they do work very well together, and that does make me very happy to see.
Yeah. I'm also glad too that like Bianca and Candice didn't really get too involved in the match.
Yeah.
Like they were out there supporting, each of their friends and all that, but like they didn't get involved until, they needed to in the match. And it was very quick, their involvement. And even, Tiffy's involvement with the match, costing Naomi. I mean, that's still something too, because that's something that like that's just one of those seeds that we can plant for. I mean, we got the Royal Rumble coming up. I mean, there's a reason for Naomi to win, a reason for her to fight, and a reason for her to go after Tiffy. Bianca later on, giving the KOD to Nia, there's another reason for her to go after Tiffy, because hey, I kind of helped you win your title. Throw me a bone here,
Yeah,
you owe me.
That's another thing too. I want to compliment like Bianca. It's just her always showcasing her strength, because that was a very impressive KOD that she did on Nia Jax, which is another thing I hope we see this year when it comes to things in this new year for WWE. I want to see Bianca on like a solo run again, because it's just been so long ever since she's been a part of the tag division. I understand why she was inserted in that role, because she wanted to help improve the division and everything like that, but I do miss seeing her in that role, and that spot that we saw in the match is pretty much why I say that, because she did a lot of she always had all these amazing spots in her matches, so it was really nice to see that. But my question here now, that I think it's kind of obvious, so it might sound like a stupid question, but I would say that Tiffany's a face now, right? Because realistically, it does not make sense in the slightest for her to be a heel, with Nia Jax obviously going to be getting a rematch, I would assume, at the Royal Rumble, because don't take this the wrong way. Like, I enjoyed Saturday night's main event, but the thing I wasn't the big a fan of was all the fucking commercials and shit. Is that kind of watered it down for me compared to the live experience that you and Vash had. So I personally wouldn't want that on that card. I would assume, because it makes sense, because we've been watching wrestling for years, that Nia Jax gets her rematch at Royal Rumble, and then from there, obviously, whoever wins that, if it's Io, if it's Charlotte, because I feel like those are probably the two names that come up the most when it comes to those championship matches that we're going to be getting at WrestleMania. Personally, I would have Io win it. We'll talk about that on Monday and future shows and everything along the lines of that. But actually, that's actually another thing. Like, what do we see Tiffany doing, like beyond Nia Jax? My path I see is she's gonna give Nia Jax a rematch. I would put it at the Royal Rumble, just so she can have a good showcase and not have to worry about commercials and shit. And then from there, she either finds out her WrestleMania opponent, if it's Io, if it's Charlotte, because I feel like it's going to be Charlotte, makes the most sense. So it's either Charlotte at Royal Rumble. I'm not a fan of returning and winning. I'd rather her qualify for a match, go through the chamber, beat all these girls, then get your moment there, and I might be a little bit biased. I kind of want Io to just get that big pop at the Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I would assume you get the rematch with Nia at Royal Rumble, and then I did mention this to you guys about Elimination Chamber being in Canada, and it was teased last year when her and Trish Stratus came across one another. So I would assume we
Oh
could
yeah.
potentially get that match, Tiffany Statton versus
Mhm.
Trish Stratus with the WWE Women's Championship on the line during that match. And it's not at any other random part of Canada. It's legit in Trish Stratus's hometown. So I would assume that would be a good marquee match. And then from there, obviously, you have Charlotte at WrestleMania.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you could always do Tiffy and Trish in Canada, or I mean, you could always look at the other end too. It could be like Rhea and Trish in Canada, because that's the thing is like with Tiffany's title reign right now, like obviously she just won the title and all that, and I do see like one of the pillar goals, I guess, not like the end goal, but like one of the pillar goals would be Charlotte, because I think Charlotte's stock is a little higher than Trish's, if I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
Especially how Trish's last run was. And plus, like, I think Trish had an interview like a while ago. She wanted to do like some big matches, and I think Rhea was one of the opponents she wanted. And I think they could have like a really like hard hitting good match. Not saying she couldn't have one with Tiffy, but like I think part of it is like me personally, I guess more I would want Tiffany to kind of start building up the resume of defenses. So like, have your Nia at Royal Rumble, so that way, again, we don't get all those commercials and all that. And then maybe at Elimination Chamber, you could do like the Naomi or the Bianca thing. You could have maybe both of them in a triple threat. This could also lead to maybe an Elimination Chamber match for the title, because they could always throw that in there as well. Because, like, especially if we're having multiple women wanting the title and wanting the championship, it could be something where it's like, okay, we all want this thing. Let's just all get into the chamber and fight for it. And like you could do it too, where it's like, okay, because like if you have Charlotte ending up winning not the elimination chamber, if you have Charlotte win the Royal Rumble, and she wants that WWE Women's Championship, it's like you can build up even more for Tiffany to like reach that level of fighting Charlotte. Even though like she's a champion, in a way, she's kind of like an underdog champion with having to face somebody on the caliber of Charlotte. But that might just be me as well, putting Charlotte on a different pedestal than Trish. But I do see the vision with Trish, though. I do see that. It's just like, I feel like there are bigger fish to fry and fish that are just like around more often. And yeah, I mean, that's just something I could see, but like, I'm not mad at that though. I'm not mad at that. That's something to keep in mind for the future. Oh, plus like with Candace involved too, like there's another name you can have in the mix as well. I mean, I know her stock's not very high when it comes to being part of the women's championship picture, but again, there's a name that you can toss into the Elimination Chamber match. She could like do a bunch of big spots, get her ass beaten, and get eliminated. Thank you for coming. All that fun stuff. But we're kind of delving into like the fantasy booking of all this, seeing where like Rhodes can go and all that. But Vash, I think you're back, Vash, for a bit.
Oh no, I've been
There
back.
you are.
I've just been muted, posting the video on our TikTok, posting the video on IG, sharing our streams. So
Oh,
do
you got
behind the
my
scenes
video?
stuff. Yeah, I've already posted
Okay.
up on TikTok,
Oh,
and
good.
I'm about to post on IG.
Yeah,
I
excellent.
I added some text. I did some fancy not sorry. I did some text, nothing fancy. I was trying to, but my head, I control myself. But I was just doing production stuff, so I was here the whole time. I was just muted, just trying to focus and everything, but still
That's fine.
listening,
Yeah.
still paying attention, still doing time codes, still doing all this production stuff.
Okay.
But what you were talking about is Tiffany cash it in, but we're talking about the actual match of Nia Jax and Naomi, and I do agree with what you guys said earlier that this match of Nia Jax versus Naomi was much better in the second round compared to previously a month or two ago, like we said earlier. And I do appreciate how well Nia Jax has improved in the second run as a
Mhm.
championship, and also in the Triple H era, because a lot of people should be proud of that how much well she got booked better, even though people was coming at her, I believe, at War Games recently a month or two ago. So I'm glad that people just appreciate how well when somebody put the effort and the passion in what they're doing, they could actually come out better. We gotta give people some second chances. And
Mhm.
you guys did bring up some good options when it comes to Naomi with Bianca and the girls have to work for Royal Rumble to the Elimination Chamber. We have some good paths of where we can lead to when it comes to the road to WrestleMania. So I'm really curious to see how this road will start to fit itself together. But for the match
Mhm.
itself, I don't really have much comments other than that I was very impressed and how long it took. But of course, like we said earlier, we had to prolong it because we know that we had to set it up for Tiffany to cash it in and just wait for the right opportunity. And I do agree the most important that the match did actually get better quotes, or it did feel like it get kick into overdrive much better after the second commercial. Like once
Mhm.
the first commercial came back, that in between from the first to second was good. But once we came back from the second commercial, the whole Samoan spike, everything else just led up from move to move instead of the first round. I felt like they was playing around, trying to lead up to it.
Yeah. And you know what? I do want to say one thing before we move on. Um, it mainly has to do with these commercial things. Like, I know people have different thoughts and opinions about like the whole picture-in-picture thing, but it is kind of weird to me how like the matches you choose to do picture-in-picture. It's weird that one of the three championship matches you have on your night doesn't get picture-in-picture. Like, I don't know, that's just weird to me because like I'm somebody that I like to watch the action and all that. I like to see like how we get to certain moments and like seeing the in ring storytelling as well going through it. That's why like I personally appreciate picture in picture because like then I get to see more of that even if there is an ad playing. But like it was weird to me because like out of the two women's matches both of them didn't get picture in picture. It's like okay, I don't care that Michin and Piper didn't. That's fine because of where they are in the card and the pecking order, blah blah blah, all that stuff. But it's like for your women's championship match to not get anything like that, I I don't know. It did kind of sit. It didn't really sit too well with me, but I'm not gonna sit here bitch and moan about it either. That's just because I'm not that kind of person, but it is something to kind of note that it's very odd how they choose what gets that treatment and all that. Because I think this match could have really benefited from having just like that extra exposure to it.
Hmm.
But anyways, but do we have anything else to add when it comes to Tiffany Stratton finally getting rid of that briefcase that she's
Um,
held for some time?
the only thing I would like to add before we move on to the next
Yeah.
thing is we mentioned the whole hit hit three birds at one stone thing. I'm happy
Oh
we at
yeah.
least hit one of those birds with the stone. And obviously the whole Charlotte thing could play out later on. I'm not really that concerned about that. But
Yeah.
if they hypothetically just do Tiffany and Naomi, I feel like you eventually have to pay off that whole Naomi thing. Because one thing I do want to bring up is that Jade Cargill has been putting a lot of cryptic posts out lately. She recently posted like her looking like Carrie on her Twitter and on her Instagram. So I feel like that also has to come into play because, like we mentioned before, if you're turning someone face, it's almost like you got to turn someone heel at the same time. And since she was involved in this segment, I would hope maybe sometime this month we get some sort of answer with that, because now that whole story with Tiffany is finished now and Tiffany could obviously walk in the sunset and begin her new journey, I feel like eventually down the line if that whole Naomi thing needs to get addressed soon.
Yeah, I hope it does. Especially if, Jade is just gonna continue to just dump red jam all over herself. Like, girl,
The way there's
come
been
on.
prolonging about the Jade, I don't know if anybody's seen the movie Knives Out there or right here the panel, but it kind of reminds me of the knives. Like, who has done it? Like, we know who it is, but then
Who done it?
yeah, like who done it? Like we know it's not. But imagine like we get like a whole Roger Rabbit, like, oh, it was not Naomi, it was the whole different person the whole time. It was Charlotte Flair. Like, damn, you came out the left window. Nobody expected this. Guess what we did? So like, I'm just waiting for the next stone to hit the next bird and find out what it is.
I think I know who it was, and I think my boy Carlito also knows who it was. It was Santos Escobar.
Santos Escobar.
It was Santos Escobar. He did it. He was the one that pushed Jade down the into the car. But all right, well, if we're done talking about our women's title picture, let's talk about our WWE title picture, because we have Cody Rhodes taking on Kevin Owens. We got this build up going towards the Royal Rumble for this big old ladder match that I can't wait for. I know the team's excited for it, I'm assuming. But yeah, so Cody starts off our night, and he's not cleared to wrestle, but he at least wants to come out here and talk about Kevin Owens, and he wants to talk about the Royal Rumble, but he's interrupted by a Drew McIntyre just randomly coming over here on SmackDown during this little transition period that we're having with like the whole Raw Netflix thing. And he basically comes out and he wants to help Cody out. He comes out, gives Cody a nice hug. He's just like, look, we're two similar people. We're on the same coin, except I'm tails and your heads, whatever. Bullshit. But he's just like, I want to help you because I want to be sure to watch your back because I believe in you. And Cody kind of calls him on his bullshit here. He's just like, look, I don't need your help. I don't want your help. And I feel like I know where this is leading to, and you just want to fight me for the title. And we can have a fight. I don't mind that. And Drew is just like, all right, fine, whatever. You don't want my help? Okay, cool, neat. Just make sure to watch your back. And I love the staging of this too, because like Drew starts kind of like circling the ring and purposefully turning Cody around to the point where it's just like once he leaves the ring, he makes that line of don't watch your, be sure to watch your back. And then you immediately hear the crowd, reacting. And you're like, oh, here comes Kevin Owens. And lo and behold, here comes Kevin Owens. And we have another pull apart brawl to end that segment. How we feeling about all this? Because like there, again with the whole transfer window going on, there were some reports going out saying that Drew's probably going to be coming to SmackDown, and maybe he's going to be teaming up with Kevin Owens here because like they're both in like this gimmick where they feel justified and they feel like they're spitting truths and all that. What do we think about all this? Especially with Drew coming to SmackDown now and probably starting a program with Cody here in the future.
Yeah, because I do recall, I'm not sure if you saw this, but I believe it was like 2 weeks ago, Drew was on TikTok. He was like working out and everything. He did mention something along the lines of him and Cody eventually having a program, and it's gonna shock a lot of people and everything, which obviously a lot of people want to see that. So it'd be really cool once we get all the pieces in motion for that. But the thing I like about this is when it comes to like this transfer window, I'm happy that we got a confirmation when it comes to what person's heading to that said brand. Because we obviously want this whole thing to be addressed, because we didn't know anything for these past couple weeks. I even mentioned it to Vash. We don't know a fucking thing when it comes to, okay, who's going to Raw, who's going to SmackDown. And we even advocated before, okay, now that Drew's done with Punk, you should put him on different shows. Doesn't really make sense for them to be on there. And if you want SmackDown to be like the work rate show, like we talked about earlier, the whole 2016 Raw being the work rate show, the land of opportunity, etc., so on, I feel like that's the perfect thing to do. So you have Drew coming to SmackDown. I know the report said Drew, Sami, KO, obviously confirmation that he's staying there, and then American Made, which was clear as day that they were heading over there. So the thing I like about this the most, outside of the seeds that was building into this, was this faction thing. And it was even posted on our account, Weebs of the Ring, where it was like the three-man faction. And it's like that saying, it's like, watch your back. That was echoed from Drew. That was echoed from Kevin Owens. And I'm waiting for someone else to echo that too. And I'm going to actually I'm actually going to dive into that right now, because what I like about this whole entire thing, I feel like it's happening. There's no way in fucking hell. I'm sorry for all the cussing, but there's no way in hell that they're teasing this whole entire thing with Kevin Owens and Drew, with them looking at each other. We're like, you know what? We got a common goal in mind. We could operate and do things this way. I like it like this. You think about it like this. It's actually the perfect example. It's like, you got the three of us. It's like, I'm targeting a certain guy. Vash is targeting a certain guy, and then Watkins is targeting a certain guy. So to put it in the sense of that, it's like, okay, Drew McIntyre, what is he targeting? He's targeting the Bloodline. What is Kevin Owens targeting? He's targeting Cody Rhodes. What is Seth Rollins targeting? He's targeting CM Punk. So what I think would trigger Seth to go down this direction, because obviously that whole entire interaction with Drew and Seth was done for a reason, wasn't just there to be like, oh, you want to team up? No, okay, fuck you. It wasn't something like that. I feel like what you need to do on Monday to really put Seth in that situation, he has to lose to Punk, because then there's that motivation to head down that direction and target and have Seth's target, even though we already know it is as it already. But you would have, okay, now we have Seth going down this route because he lost to Punk, and now we could have the three of them working together as a force to take out all of these people that they know is a big issue in the company. And I really like that. I think it's a very creative way to do something that makes sense. Triple H has made a lot of justifiable heels, so it would make a lot of sense for them to go down that direction, and that's something I can definitely get behind. And I am honestly very excited to see all this come together, because I don't think it's just KO and Drew. Like, obviously Seth's gonna get involved with that, because you got to think about it like this too. Is like, outside of like Punk, like, what else is Seth gonna really do beyond that? So putting him into like an interesting faction and going down this direction with the three of them, I just feel like it would make the most sense, and it would just benefit all three of them, and they would just do something very interesting for them to try to take out the targets in WWE that they believe are causing all of this damage of all of this stuff that's going on.
Yeah. And I think one thing too to like keep in mind is all of this stems from the bloodline. All of this stems from mainly Roman. And like this is what makes the bloodline story so compelling, because it's not just about the members of the bloodline. It's not just about the family and all that. It's about what they've done and how it's affected everybody. You know, we've seen how it's basically made Drew crazy, you know, because like all that stuff started when Jay went to Raw, you know, and everybody was being all buddy to him, and Drew was just like, the fuck y'all doing? You know, even KO to an extent, because like he ended up leaving Raw and going straight to SmackDown because he just couldn't be on there with everybody being all buddy to Jay, which I think we're gonna see play out, because I believe we are going to be getting, you know, KO versus Sami this year at Mania, but we'll dive into that whenever we cross that road. But like everything deals with Roman and the bloodline, and like that's why, you know, again, KO's spiraling. He's crashing out. Drew McIntyre had his crash out, and even though it mainly had to deal with CM Punk, it all started because of the bloodline, and it only got enhanced after CM Punk, helped out the bloodline and all that, because now Drew not only hates Punk more, but now he's just like, okay, why is the bloodline doing this stuff? And we saw that with his conversation with Seth. And now Seth needs to have that moment where it's like, okay, screw all this stuff, screw all these guys. You got Drew and KO, you guys are right. Why is everybody else just like blind to all of this? And I'm in agreement with you. I think that's going to start with him losing to Punk. And we're going to get the Seth Rollins crash out after that. And then they'll start the trio crash out where they're all just going to, bust open the announce table and all that, and try to take over WWE, because that's the thing, they are justified in what they say and feel, because it's like, why should Roman be back in charge? Why are we helping out this guy that, like, not only just Roman but like Punk? Because like there's even deep stuff that goes in with Punk, because it's like, okay, why are we being buddy with Punk? That's why, like, on Monday with the stuff that Seth was saying, I know I didn't get a chance to really shine, my thoughts on that, but it's like Seth had a lot of stuff to say about Punk, and like I know most of it's like stuff we've heard, but it's like it's the stuff that we know to be true, because when Punk left, he left on very bad terms, and part of it, a lot of it wasn't his fault. It's mainly the company at the time and the administration at the time that were just like really, really, really bad. Yeah. To the point where, hey, we're calling you on your wedding day saying you're fired. Like, what company does that at all? That's really going to leave a bad taste in your mouth. So it's just like, yeah, why are we helping these people? Why are we like giving these people a second chance when they haven't really done anything to earn that second chance? Now, I say that, and Punk, I feel like, has at least tried to earn that back. We see that with like backstage segments he does. We see that with like interviews he's done as well. Like, he's at least earned all that. And with Roman, it hasn't really happened, at least yet. So like, how does this all tie in, back to Cody? Well, Cody was in the middle of all of this. It was his story that everyone got behind. That's why Seth joined up with Cody. That's why KO joined up with Cody. That's why Sami joined up with Cody. That's why Jay left the family. Well, I mean, Jay left the family for other reasons, but it's like, that's why Jay teamed up with Cody to win the tag titles and all that stuff. So like, all this stuff centered around Cody, for him to be the person to take the title off Roman, to take the power away from the bloodline. And it's like, his moment of teaming with Roman was the moment that just hammered the proverbial nail in the coffin to his relationship with a lot of people. Like, we saw the crash out with KO, where we'll soon see Drew turning on Cody because of it. I mean, he kind of hinted at it tonight, but like he'll mention some of that when they start their program. And with Seth even like saying, no, I'm not teaming with the bloodline, even though, it wasn't Cody saying that, but like we'll have that eventual interaction with Seth and Cody, with them being like, hey, the fuck? Like, why did you do that? And that's where all of this stems from, and that's where like all this negativity and this crash out comes from. And like, that's why like people like Seth, Drew, and KO are so justified in their actions, because it's like, okay, why? We spent how long to get this guy out of power? We did what? Like, we went through so much to just get this guy away, and you're just going back on all of that. Like, it is, to them, it doesn't make sense, and I get it. I really do get it, and that's what makes all these stories so compelling. It's like you get all sides of it too, because I do get Cody's side. I get that. I understand that a little bit, but also fuck that, you know. So yeah, I really like where this story is going, and I like too with tonight how like not a lot happened to push it forward, but it was enough like little things to help things go on. Because like even though we had the pull apart brawl, and I could sit here bitch and moan about it, how like oh another pull apart brawl, blah blah blah, but it was enhanced from later on tonight when we had Nick Aldis confront Cody
Mm.
and basically pleading him to, think about the big picture. Think about, your future and all that stuff. Like, I can't have you going out there trying to pick fights with people when you're not cleared to wrestle. Like, we're seeing Cody get that edge, to get that darkness, and it's going to come to a point where Cody's going to dye his hair black again and come out of the um gorilla position ready to beat some ass.
Mm.
And I mean, he even said it tonight. It's on site. Even if you look like Kevin Owens, I'm gonna kick your ass. So I'm not going anywhere near Cody. I mean, I know
Mm.
I don't have the beard like KO, but I mean, I'm roughly the same size as Kevin Owens, so I'm staying away from Cody right now. Like I don't want the Cody Rhodes crash out.
Mm. So
Oh man.
adding to that, I like how we are getting some edge with Cody. And I love Cody. I'm always
Mhm.
going to be a fan of Cody. I don't give a fuck what people
Yeah.
say about him. He's great. He's fantastic. He's good for the company. That's not me glazing him or anything. I mean, you fucking see what this guy brings to company. So I just ignore all that stupid bullshit online. But it's like, I do appreciate how there's some edge to his character, because there is at times
Mhm.
where it's like, you know what, Cody, you got to approach this a little bit differently when it comes to the kind of situations that you're involved in, especially with what's currently going on with Kevin Owens. So I like how he has that edge because it adds more personality to his character. It shows that side of Cody that we don't normally see come out, where Cody's not afraid to take risks in order to get the job done, which is why I feel like he used that chair during the Kevin
Mhm.
Owens match, because he even stated when they had that back and forth promo on SmackDown, when Kevin Owens was wearing a little tuxedo shirt, he was in the ring. He even said that he's willing to go down lengths if he has to with Kevin Owens because of what Kevin Owens did. So it's like adding a little spice of Cody's character is interesting because we love seeing Cody, interacting with the fans, but even Cena had moments like this too. Like I remember that one
Mhm.
SmackDown where John Cena came out there and he's like, "My name is John Cena. Whoever I want this match at the Royal Rumble, I don't give a fuck what you guys think." Uh, Yada yada this, yada that. I don't know if you remember that promo. He cut on SmackDown that one time where it's like, "I'm John Cena. I'm gonna do this and
Mhm.
that. I don't give a fuck what you think." Even when Cena was involved in like situations like that, or even the kind of people that he was feuding with, Cena had some edge to his character to show that, John Cena isn't this happy baby face that's always going to pat you on the back or shake your hand all the time. Like, if you get Cena pissed off and you push Cena to a point where he has to pull that side of him out, it's just interesting to see because it's not something you normally see that often. And I know a lot of people were saying as well, as like, oh, we're getting the Homelander Cody. Like, I don't think it's going to be any heel turn thing because I don't really think that's
Yeah.
a good decision to make, especially if this guy's making you a lot of merch. Not saying he can't do it in the future, but you can tell he's enjoying what he's doing right now. I don't really think you need to do that anytime soon. Like, that's not even a thought that comes across my mind. But adding a little edge to make his personality a little bit more interesting. Not saying that he's bad now, but to make his personality stand out a little bit more. I feel like it would just
Mhm.
make the segments that he's involved in a lot more interesting. Like we saw with Drew, and how Drew saw through and how Cody saw through Drew. I saw a lot of people online were saying like, "Oh, Cody, why are you acting stupid like that?" But no, I mean, you should know how Drew is. We've been watching Drew on television
Yeah.
ever since he started this new arc with the Bloodline and everything. He says things and then snap of a finger, like we saw, KO comes from the back and hits him. So it's like, I like how he's self-aware. That's
Yeah.
something I can appreciate, that I think is very well done. And I was just gonna
Mhm.
throw this idea out there before I throw the mic back to you. Um, So we're talking about like how Netflix, how this Seth and CM Punk match is going to be the main event for next week. If they want to make a big impact to start out that first show, how would you feel if the Seth crash out does happen after that match, and Cody is supposed to be on that show as well, and Roman's also going to be part of that show as well? Just imagine you just have that show end with Seth, Drew, and KO aligned with one another.
Oh, injected into my
Yeah.
veins. Just get that syringe. Get my vein all
Yes,
nice
please.
and tight.
Yeah.
Just like
You know, even better.
Yes.
An even crazier thought is imagine you got Cody laid out, Roman laid out, and Punk laid out, and their foots are like on them, almost like they're climbing a mountain. Imagine that.
Oh my God. You know, it'd be even better too. Just that little extra icing on the cake. Do the shield fist bump on top of them.
Yeah.
That would be the icing on the cake.
That would be amazing. Just like good old Shield 2.0 kind of thing,
Yeah.
Also, if you're on Twitter and you try to do like a compilation of the three guys of Kevin Owens, Drew McIntyre, and Seth Rollins, you try to do like one of those generative AI images, you might have to do a couple prompts because there were a lot of moments where it's just like, okay, here's KO and here's two Drew McIntyres, and I'm just like, there should only be one Drew McIntyre and a Seth Rollins, but like, man, it'll be fun if those three end up together, because like the dynamic too with those three, like, would they just be teaming up together? Would they just be kind of like watching each other's back or something? Because like when you look at a faction, it's like, okay, who's being elevated in the faction? Like you look at the Judgment Day, it's like, okay, back in the day at least, it's like, okay, we're here to elevate Damian Priest because like he's the mid-carder and he's the one that the company's trying to get behind a little bit. Finn, you've been here a while. We get that. We understand that. We appreciate your work, but it's kind of Damian Priest time right now. And, Rhea Ripley being part of the group, it's time to elevate her. And like Judgment Day really elevated her a lot. So it's like, okay, is the group together to elevate? Or is the group together to push a story and all that? And I mean, it's going to be the latter because, I mean, all three guys are top men.
Yeah. Mr. Dwayne Johnson, when the fuck are you showing up too? He was flexing his stocks in TKO, so hopefully you show up.
Keep flexing.
Hopefully you show up too.
Keep flexing.
Need my boy need him to show up on my. It just tailor fit for him to be at a Las Vegas WrestleMania, and then it's also tailor fit for him wanting the spotlight on him at that Raw Netflix premiere. There's no way you pass out an opportunity like that.
Well, see, that's the thing about like, I mean, I know we'll touch on the tribal combat match here in a minute, but it's like that's the weird thing about like Punk and Rollins getting the main event.
Yeah.
Because it's like, if Rock's involved, and if Rock does come to the show, he's going to want that main event spot, So it's like, okay.
For all we know, Rock and Politic is waiting to fuck up that match. You never know. Especially if that shit I said happens. And remember how we mentioned the whole thing about him giving Drew the sword when he signed and everything like that? It's almost like McIntyre is his own little hitman doing all this shit like that.
Yeah. Sorry, I had to have a little cough right there. Yeah, so I mean, we're gonna be building for this match for we got a whole other month until the Royal Rumble too. Like, that's the other thing. Like, we're not building this match like between Cody and Kevin Owens for Saturday night's main event. This is happening at the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, I'm happy
and
about
like,
that.
what more can we add in the month? Leading up to it. And I mean, it could be this team up of the three, because again, the crash out could happen on Monday. Like, I'm predicting either way, whether it is Rollins or maybe even Roman or somebody else. I don't know. There's gonna be a big old crash out on Monday. And I'm all here for it to see who it's gonna be and how it's gonna go down.
Yeah.
because Monday's really going to be telling where we're going to be going for WrestleMania.
Ooh, and it's going to be good. That might honestly be like our biggest show on the channel, to be honest, just because of the whole premise of the Netflix premiere.
Oh yeah,
It's gonna be
'cause, like, they.
interesting of how it's gonna be searched, the sidecast, the videos. It's gonna be an interesting week for us.
Yeah.
NXT as well. It's gonna be an interesting week for wrestling. Um, I'm very excited. Like Raw Netflix, even for what you guys said, a great theory or great prediction, or for what Paul will say, it's a spoiler of what could be happening of the Drew, KO, and Seth Rollins having their own faction, having their fists together as the
Mhm.
Shield representation. All those are possibilities, and I would love to see that.
Mm.
When
Well,
it comes to
Paul.
KO
Mhm.
and Drew, he even said like they kept saying watch your back even at the end of the match of the we're about to transition to. He came out and it was hilarious of how the camera panned when Jay was having his back first against Drew. It was showing like, hey, watch your back. So it's just great.
Mhm.
Those type of little Easter eggs of how they do the production as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, production work tonight was really good. They were playing around with camera angles again, which was nice to see. So, but I'm glad you brought up Paul Heyman because he has a lot to say whenever he has the mic, and he grabbed the mic to talk about this tribal combat match tonight. Because like with our whole build for this match, we ended up having like this 6-man tag dealing with the Temu bloodline taking on Sami Zayn and the Usos. But, to kind of lead into all of this, we had Paul Heyman coming out to the ring and basically saying that he and Roman were the ones that trained Solo. They were the ones to like big him up to make sure that he
Yeah.
was ready to take up the mantle of being the tribal chief when it was time for him to become the tribal chief. But unfortunately, again, we're doing the whole narrative of Solo stealing that position, basically taking it for his own. And I think it was Corey Graves on commentary too, mentioned that if this was any other time that Solo had taken the initiative on something like this, or just taken the initiative in general, Roman would have praised him for that. And yet now that he hasn't, or now that he has taken the initiative in a way that Roman doesn't like, that's just the thing. Boo Solo for doing, taking the initiative. Roman, you failed. You dropped the title at WrestleMania. You lost that opportunity. You lost that seat at the head of the table. You lost that glory. So it's like, all right, since you lost it, I'm gonna take it and make it better, make it my own. Which Solo, I mean, he did make it his own. He found the guys that will acknowledge him and will be by his side. And in turn, he's kind of become a better leader than Roman in a way. But I mean, time will only tell too with that, after what happens on Monday and everything. But Paul, first of all, Paul, why you gotta run down Jacob Fatu like that? Why you gotta say like he's not even allowed in the prison system in America? Like, dude,
Bro,
what did
bro
Jacob
told us
Fatu
like
do to
a whole
you?
checklist of
It just builds his stock more.
exactly.
Exactly.
He told Tama, the Tongas, they can't even get outside the US, inside the US, outside the States. And I'm like, okay, you're making them sound worse. You're actually doing them a favor, Paul. Like you're actually doing the opposite of what you're planning.
Maybe that was done by design. I mean, we all love them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, I don't know if you guys heard the crowd tonight. They were chanting "I love you" Solo
Yeah.
when Jacob was
Oh
saying
yeah.
it.
Oh my god, by the way, that promo that Solo said,
Dude, that
he said, I
promo.
wake up and think of you, Solo, and I love you, Solo. And I'm like, wait, so
Like, you
your
know what?
character wakes
Yeah.
up and thinks of Solo. That's the first thing you're gonna tell the audience right now. The universe of WWE, you're gonna tell us that the first thing you think about is Solo. Copy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Understood.
His alarm clock is literally him being like, "I love you, Solo." He rolls out of bed. He rolls out of bed and just like, "I love you, Solo." He goes into the bathroom and he's brushing his teeth. He's just like, I love you, Solo.
And I bet you the song. I bet you it's Solo's theme song is the alarm clock. Ah,
He walks outside. The sun's rising. He looks at the sun. He's just like, I love you, Solo.
One,
Drinking his morning coffee.
one
I
thing
love you, Solo.
well, one thing I will say about this is Paul Heyman is great, and I like how he always brings that intensity whenever he's trying to sell a match, and that's something Paul Heyman has done for years, and he's always done it very well. And it's like I stated before, like a lot of people were asking me, when my mother even asked me that we were watching it tonight, she's like, who do you think's going to win this match, Roman and Solo? Obviously there has to be a winner, and if I'm picking one, I am going to say Solo, but if I'm being realistic, I don't even but if I'm
No,
being,
I like that. I like that.
we're on the same page then. We're all three.
Yeah, but if I'm being realistic, coming from the perspective of common sense, neither of them deserve it, only because Roman hasn't changed, and then Solo has not atoned for those losers. When you're a loser, there needs to be consequences, and he's lost a couple times, and he hasn't atoned to whatever happened with that. And that's a realistic answer, but yeah, it would have to be Solo, because you think about it like this, it's like, why are you just handing Roman back to Ula Fala like that? That just seems too easy. It's kind of like how I mentioned, like, off air about like the whole Road to 17 thing. I feel like the story's to chase with that. With Roman,
Right.
with him losing that match, I feel like that should finally, even though it should have happened months ago, that should finally be the trigger that clicks in Roman's head, where he's like, okay, maybe I need to actually start I need to start actually understanding my surroundings and understanding the people I'm with and everything, because he mentions things about family and his father and everything like that, how he had it with Lafala and all that, but he hasn't shown he hasn't apologized to Jay, hasn't done anything with Sami or whatever. It's just, okay, you know, they're aligning with me to take out this target that I have beef with, and that's it. He's been the same character. You can't really call him a babyface or a heel. He's just Roman Reigns. So it's like, I just feel like it doesn't make sense for him to do it. And also, like, what we saw in this match itself, which we'll dive into and we'll talk about it a little bit. But Drew McIntyre, as I predicted, got involved in this match, build a little bit more with that match between him and Jay, which obviously I expect Drew to go over in that match. But it's like, you would think that with Roman being on that Monday Night Raw premiere and it's tribal combat, and one of the things that was stated between the both of them is to leave their troops behind, which I feel like would add some value to that match and make it interesting if they don't come out. Because I feel like if you didn't mention that, they would come out. But if you really want to add some sort of feel to this match, don't have them come out. That's just an easy way for Drew to really fuck over Roman, because he mentioned to Solo, he's like, you're the very reason why I lost at Clash of the Castle when I was having the WWE Championship. And he obviously knows all this stuff that Roman did to him was absolutely awful. So it's like, you would realistically think it's like Roman really wants that Ula Fala back. But God, Roman would be so pissed if Drew fucking cost him that. And it would be revenge. It's like, you took something from me, I'm going to take something valuable from you. It just makes the perfect sense for them to go down that direction. And it's like, again, Paul has to build these promos for Roman.
Yep. Yeah, basically. And I like too, because like we don't just get, you know, sorry. We don't just get like Paul coming out to hype up the match and all that.
Yeah.
There's actually something, like, again, it's these little bits of storytelling with it. And I mean, I say little, but it's kind of more bigger than I'm letting on, because Solo comes out to kind of respond to Paul, especially after he's saying, you know, there will be a winner and there will be a loser. And, you know, Solo comes out, which finally they get the presentation of Solo good. Like the lighting they used for his entrance with him just standing out there with like I think it was like the orange background and the lights just like kind of blackened around him and all that. Like that presentation was good. That was awesome. Like that was the presentation I want to see in somebody who's trying to call themselves the tribal chief and all that shit.
Yeah.
But I
I
like how
agree.
Solo comes out and he's just like, okay, you know, first of all, we're not going to attack you. And I love how Paul, he's just like, look, I'm about to pee myself because the last time you came out here like this, I
You
went through that
whoop my
table.
ass.
Yeah, like I had to spend some time at home, you know, counting my blessings and all that.
I
But
didn't expect the line
I
of
like
him
how
actually saying that,
Mhm.
like, of I'm peeing my pants right now, Solo. I didn't expect that line. Like, I felt like it was an ad lib or something of how like R be saying some
Mhm.
random shit. Like Paul was just adding a humor to the line to the segment right now because it was hilarious, and I
Yeah.
didn't expect Paul to do that. But it brought value towards the aura, as you say, or the hockey. Because I agree with
Mhm.
Solo. That's something that we both been asking, all three of us been asking for Solo. Like, hey, we get it, guys. You try to push him to be next tribal chief, but don't force him down our throat when he's not even getting pushed well with the type of monologue or the dialogue or the promo. But now that the presentation has finally got mixed in very well, that
Mhm.
him coming by himself without his posse and him looking as good with just a simple lighting and a simple fog machine, it just makes it feel more impactful. And that's something that I appreciate as well. And I want to add my 2 cents about that too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, because again, like presentations, you know, about what is it, like 60% of the thing? Anyways, that's besides the point. Solo comes out, you know, he responds to Heyman, but his response is mainly, hey, I need somebody I can trust to be out there to have this Ulafala and to present it to the winner and all that. And basically threatening Paul in a way of saying, hey, you know, I will own you if I am the tribal chief and all that. So basically, just laying the groundwork of okay, whoever wins this match, the other will acknowledge them as the tribal chief, and it's like okay, will we actually get that acknowledgement? You know, I mean, obviously we'll get that from Paul with whoever he puts it on, but like this is a nice little wrinkle here too, because like I can already picture now with the match. Uh, you know, because obviously, you know, with them both leaving their armies in the back and all that, it's going to be Roman and Solo, but we need that emotional crux. We need that, you know, if you've ever watched a shonen anime, like let's say the first thing that's coming to my mind is Naruto. If you remember back in like the tuning exams, you have all these like reaction shots of like this character being like, oh, and like you get like the little triangle like spurts of like seeing everybody's reaction to like Rock Lee beating up on Gar and all that. We're not going to have most of that, you know, besides with the audience, but our one focal point, the one emotional standpoint in the match is going to be Paul Heyman because he's going to be out there looking all concerned when Roman's down or, you know, looking very happy when Roman's up and all that. But like he's going to be holding on to that Ulafala the whole match. And he's going to be the one for us to look at throughout the match, you know, between the action and all that to have that emotional kind of hook in it to be like, okay, is Paul going to be happy? Is he going to be sad? Is he going to just be, you know, is he going to end up being Solo's, you know, slave at the end of all of this? Because that's basically how Solo's going to treat him. You know, he's not going to treat him as an equal. You know, I mean, to an extent, but it's going to be a lot of the same that Paul had to deal with earlier, where he's going to look at Punk and be like, "Save me," you know. And I like too how Solo brought up the whole promise, the whole thing that, you know, Heyman was going to give to Punk. You know, whatever that favor may be. Solo brought it up too, so I'm wondering if how much that's going to tie in with even just Punk being on the same show. You know, I know he has to deal with, you know, Seth and all that. He has to focus on that, but like that's just another thread that we can go on, like even later on down the road, where that favor does come to fruition and all that. But again, like I like that just little addition of Paul Heyman in this match going forward. So promo's all done. Moving on, as we see Sami Zayn in the back, he's coming into the arena and all that stuff, and he gets interrupted by Carmelo as he's trying to like. I love how Carmelo's trying to like intimidate Sami here, and then you get both the Usos come by. He's just like, "Yeah, yeet," and Carmelo's just like, "Yeah, whatever. Yeah, you guys have my back," and then they're like, "Nah, we have Sami's back." Like, what you guys think of this? Just like short little segment, because like Carmelo just kind of backed off after a little bit, but like, what do you think this really did in the long run? Like, there was a moment afterwards that has a little bit more weight, but like, I guess with like Carmelo's involvement here, like, do you think that is going to lead to something down the road, or is it just Carmelo being Carmelo again?
I feel like it might just be Carmelo being Carmelo again. My initial reaction when it comes to like Carmelo's presentation on SmackDown at this moment, I just really want to know what sort of direction they're going to be going down with his character. Because compared to Braun Breaker seems to be kicking it off pretty well. 2-time IC champion. Wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if he actually becomes a world champion this year and he gets the World Heavyweight Championship. Because they see a lot of stock in this guy. But I'm really wondering like exactly like what's going to be going on with Carmelo. Because Carmelo Hayes could put on a lot of great matches with whoever he's in the ring with. If you guys that are watching saw the trilogy matches he had with Ilya Dragunov NXT, those were fucking fantastic. So it's you can always put on good matches, but that's not something I always want to see all the time. I want to see exactly like what is the direction for him. And like we spoke about earlier, you have Drew coming over to SmackDown. You got Sami coming over to SmackDown. You got KO staying in SmackDown. You got American Made coming over to SmackDown. I feel like if you want to put him on Raw and see if he can find his footing there or whatever, and then if you want to revisit like a Carmelo and Braun down the line, since there's a lot of history there, since they're the reason why NXT 2.0 was created, they were the pillars of that division. I just feel like he could find some good footing there, because there was no signs of like anything going on with Braun in this episode of SmackDown today. So it's like, where is he going? Like that's what I want to find out. It's like, okay, we know a couple guys coming on SmackDown. What's going on with Raw? I feel like he would be perfect there. And he mentioned before Monday Night Mellow. I just want to basically, it's just me being a little greedy. I'll admit that. I just want to see him just take off and like just start getting that stock like Braun's getting, because we know he's going to be one of those guys in the company that's going to help carry the division when a lot of these people that we love now, like Cody and Seth, and not all of them are gone. I want to see exactly like what's in store for Mello.
Yeah, I really want to know where we're leading with him, because like right now, I mean, again, Carmelo's whole shtick is like, "Oh, I'm him," blah blah blah. And it's like,
gotta prove it.
I'm kind of in the same boat with you. It's just like, okay, yeah, you put on some great matches, but like, who are you exactly? Because like, you say you're him, but looking at your record right now, you're kind of not, So it's like, where is our end goal with this? Or like, where's one of our end points when it comes to Carmelo Hayes on the main roster in WWE and all that stuff? Because like, yeah, when you kind of compare him, hell, I'll even compare him with Trick Williams back down in NXT. Like, and Trick is going on a run of his lifetime right now, And I mean, yeah, he's about to, face off with Obafemi for the title and all that, and that's gonna hurt. That's really gonna hurt when he has to deal with Obafemi with all that. But it's like, even then, Trick has been doing amazing work, and he was somebody that was in Carmelo's shadow, and yet you see Carmelo going into the main roster. I mean, you just immediately think of the phrase, a big fish in a small pond, and yet you put that big fish in the ocean. Well, that big fish isn't so big now, is he? You know, like there's bigger fish in that ocean, if anything. So it's like, where are we going with Carmelo? Where's part of our end goals? And I know part of that was us talking about, oh, he'll win the U.S. title and all that stuff. But it's like
Hmm.
that picture seems to be changing as well moving forward.
Yeah.
Especially if we're shaking up some stars and all that. I mean, you can kind of say the same with Andrade after what happened tonight. Like, where are we going with some of these people? And I think if we're actually going to be giving underutilized talent some time and some work going forward, Carmelo should be like at the top of that, at least on the men's side of things.
Yeah.
Like he should be like front running a lot of those feelings, you know, at least when it comes to singles feuds and like singles pushes and all that.
Yeah.
Mm.
Especially with what you
But,
gave Tiffany
yeah,
tonight, because she's a part of that same division that Carmelo and Braun
Mhm.
are a part of when it comes to the NXT 2.0 era. So it's like you're officially starting things off for her. She's like the first
Yeah.
person out of that division of NXT to actually propel with a world championship. Out of them all, she's the very first one. So it's like I'm hoping we can get on the same page with that with Carmelo, because I just want to see
Yeah.
him do something that's meaningful instead of like,
Mhm.
okay, attacking Braun for like 2 weeks or whatever. I mean, well, one thing I will say is the stuff that we saw with Andrade, which we'll touch on in a little bit. It did help enhance both of them when it came to those matches, but we got to see
Oh
more
yeah.
than that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, because again, like you got to have more than just good matches. Like you got
yeah.
to give me a reason to care about the person, about the character, and all
hmm
that.
And when it comes
So
to like the match itself, just to give some thoughts on it,
yeah.
I mean, basically overall, this was just an angle being built within the match
Mhm.
itself. It was just giving Solo some momentum heading into that match at Roman, which is going to be the biggest match of his career when it comes to the whole Ula
Yeah.
Fala being on the line at that Netflix premiere. And obviously, I was expecting Solo and his bloodline to win this because you need that momentum heading into that match. That's pretty much like go to WWE right there. And obviously,
Yeah.
the whole thing with Drew is just building into that match that he's going to be having with Jay on that Netflix premiere as well. So it's like, that's basically what I took from this match itself. It was just building momentum for
Mhm.
matches and just seeing Drew tell us again that, yeah, he's hunting down the bloodline. Just
Yeah.
he's gonna do as much as he can to just rip them apart.
Yeah. And I like too with like I mean, you know, I had mentioned, you know, in-ring storytelling as well. And like with this match, you really see like a good sense of teamwork and camaraderie with both teams. Especially with like Roman not involved because it's like, okay, yeah, Sami and the Usos, they were helping Roman and all that, but like they weren't really much of a cohesive unit. Whereas like tonight, like there were many instances where both teams were like, you know, they were beating up on one certain superstar. Like the spot that's coming to my mind right now is when they did like the triple hip attack to Jacob Fatu in the corner and all that. Like they had Jay, Jimmy, and Sammy doing all that. Like that was pretty cool. And then like even going into the end of the match with like Sammy trying to claw his way to break up the pin. I mean, like I like tag team wrestling like that where it's just like, okay, yeah, we're not just gonna keep the one on the outside so he's not like, you know, just so he's out and can't break up the pin. No, I like a bit of struggle in my stories and like seeing Sammy being the one because like he does that very well.
Hmm.
You know, again, ultimate underdog and all that. But like having him being the one to like crawl in back into the ring to try to break up the pin, but he's just that little sliver too late to even break it up. So it's like, yeah, there's desperation in there, and you know, even with Jay being distracted a bit by Drew, I mean, it was enough of a distraction to make him not to make him not notice that there was a tag when he was in the corner with Temu Bloodline and all that. But there was also a time too, like there was one moment Tama Tonga was like he was mauling Sami
gave the
Zayn at
hands.
one point.
Yeah.
He gave
Yeah, like
actual hands. He gave actual hands. I was like, bro, this is wrestling. This is not hand-to-hand combat.
nah. He was a little yeah in that moment. Like he was a little much there. But I mean, I appreciate it though. Sometimes you just need to be a little more brutal, especially in the WWE realms of things. But I mean, I kind of agree with you too. This is more like of just the angle with trying to make sure that Solo looks strong going into Monday.
Agree, and also showing that he's a good leader as well, because even
Yeah,
commentary was proving that, trying to give the reasoning of how Michael Cole was playing the bad guy, saying like, oh, Solo Sikoa has done this, he's done this, but then we have Corey Graves telling us the good stuff that he has done and what the positive
yeah,
things that can make out of this, and how's he a better leader controlling these animals. So he shows the balance of these type of call shots, and I appreciate with commentary, them giving us a bit of more information and kind of making us feel more that is main event of the six man. Because I know a lot of people was not happy for the six man, because we knew it was going to be like story
mhm,
angle, not really trying to push
Yeah.
into the wrestling aspect. And I appreciate commentary trying to fill in gaps or information of to have us invested. So that's one thing I was appreciating, because while
mhm.
I believe I was washing dishes at the time, and during that main event, hearing the commentary, it made me feel more invested into the main event. So that's something I appreciate on my end, because
Yeah,
nothing I was losing interest, but we already have seen these type of mixtures
Yeah.
of the Samoans literally main eventing the main event. So it's something that I was like, okay, we have a little smaller version of what we got from War Games.
Mm,
yeah.
pretty
I
much.
like to you yeah. I like to you brought up commentary kind of making Solo looking like a decent person, because there was one moment I think it was Michael Cole who had mentioned, yeah, he gave Jacob Fatu reason, like basically reason to live and reason to keep going, and then I'm just sitting there like, wait, are you, are you trying to make Solo a face now? Are you trying to make him look like the good guy here? Like, because like imagine if that twist ends up happening. Like, okay, imagine if Roman does win on Monday, but like nothing gets better with the bloodline, and we end up getting like almost like a coup d'état on Roman, like where they all turn on him, being like, hey, maybe we were wrong to put you back in power. Maybe things were actually fine with Solo in power. Like, what if we get that going into like Mania season and all that? What if that's how we get into like Roman versus Jacob Fatu? Like, what if he does become like the ultimate enforcer, like mainly for The Rock and all that? It's just like, okay, you know what? Um no, you were not good, Roman, and you still aren't good. Like, man, what if that's how we like? I don't know if that's like a little too nuanced for WWE's storytelling, but like, just imagine if that's the road we go down, because like, that means we were planting seeds like here for all that. Like, again, that might just be just headcanon and all that with it. But anything else we want to add with the bloodline moving forward? I mean, we
The
ooh, we
last, the
we had a lot to go through.
The last comment I'll say, I don't know if you guys brought it up, but the backstage scene when I'm not sure if we've brought the exact scene. If we did, I probably zoned out for that second, like 10
Mhm.
seconds. It was when the Carmelo was trying to go on top of Sammy, but then the
Mm,
Usos got behind him. I really love that.
yeah.
It's just it felt like the way they transitioned from going from behind him to behind Sammy, it's just like fuck. Like I just love that transition, the camera work and the way they did it, the whole body language acting. I just love that whole 25 seconds
Mhm.
of that segment. So I really love that and appreciate it. How effortlessly it felt like.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. It was kind of cartoony too in a way,
Yes,
because
exactly.
like Carmelo's just like, wait, hold on, guys, I got this, and it's just like, wait, no, we're we're with Sammy, we're not with you. Like, what? So yeah, it was a bit cartoony, but in a good, fun way. But
Mhm.
yeah,
Exactly.
I do want to see where Carmella's going in the future. But yeah, we're gonna move on now from the bloodline because man, we could sit here and talk about the bloodline all day.
Yes,
We got
finally.
other things to go on. We have another title match. We have our U.S. title on the line. Shinsuke Nakamura taking on Andrade. Very good match, I thought. I don't think it was as good as their previous match that they had. Like what was it, like 2 months ago? But Shinsuke's really, and I thought about this when the picture in picture was going on. Shinsuke's really mastered this like slow dissecting or slow dissection of his opponent in a match. And I know some of the buzzwords that WWE would like to say is like, oh, they are, this is the pace they want to go at. This is, oh shoot, what was it? I just had it in my head. God. It's the slow, methodical pacing and all that. Like, you kind of cringe at that, nowadays thinking of it, but like Shinsuke's kind of mastered that because like the way he was doing his offense on Andrade, it was very targeted, and it was to the point, just like even in his mannerisms in the ring, like he's focusing on a certain aspect of Andrade, and even when he goes for a pinfall, he knows he's not gonna win going for the pinfall, but it's just the fact of going for it and making Andrade have to kick out and have to like continue to like roll on his neck that he kept, you know, targeting and all that. But I did think this was still a really good match, and the finish too. I mean, I don't think I've seen somebody hit a DDT on like the corner um post like that, but dude, that was stiff. That was kind of stiff when it happened. And when Kinshasa later, and Shinsuke wins the match, retains his title and all that. So let's start with the match itself. What do you guys think of the match overall, between Shinsuke and Andrade?
So I wasn't really able to watch the match as much, mainly because
Okay.
I was in the middle of like cooking dinner around the time. So the only thing I
Hmm.
really caught for the most part was like the ending of LA Knight. So I don't want to lie and come up with things to say about this. Like I saw a few snippets here and there, but for the most part, I wasn't really
Hmm.
able to fully take in the match when I was watching it.
Hmm.
So
Okay. Yeah. No. No. No worries there. I mean, again, I don't think it was as good as their previous
yeah.
match, but it was still fine. But what about you, Vash? Were you able to catch most of the action?
Did I catch most of the action? Yes. Did I forget this match was
Mhm.
happening? Yes. Did I feel like I zoned out during this match? Yes, this was one of the matches I zoned out that I did not pay attention the most. But one thing that really got me the shock, I believe we spoke about in our Discord server, is that the way Shinsuke Nakamura his presentation is amazing. I love
Mhm.
the quietness, I love the camera angle, I love how slow and patient they are for Shinsuke to take off the armor, put it to the side. Like the way he treats the belt, like he treats his belt is like the guy from Lord of the Rings, I think Bobby. My Precious, I think it is. I think it's Harry Potter.
Oh. Oh, Gollum? What?
God,
Hold on.
I
Hold
mix them up. I
pause.
probably mix them.
Pause.
I never watched. I never watched Lord of the Rings. Just saying, I never watched Lord of the Rings. So, but it's
First
the
of all, fix that. You, I'm pretty sure they're on Max. All, even the director's cut. So fix that for one. For two, we're mixing up Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings. Now
I
I'm just
figure
picturing like Voldemort being like, "My precious."
exactly. But yes,
But
my Precious, the way
yeah.
Nakamura his presentation is. But my fear, we've spoken about behind the scenes, is how would it work with now that Noah is over? Will he lose now from what the ending of this match
Yeah.
was LA Knight appearing, and now they have a match next week. So the big question is that
Mhm.
would this next week a lot of champions are are gonna be becoming new champions next week. So will LA Knight be becoming a, a second two-time US champion, or will they continue to push Nakamura for another more couple weeks. It's hard to say. I love LA Knight, but also Shinsuke. I like his presentation, and I don't want it to go on a downhill once again.
So see, this
Yeah.
is where I will chime in, because that was the
course.
part that I
Mhm.
was able to catch when it came to this match itself. So when it comes to like Nakamura and LA Knight like running that program again, I felt like it was gonna happen, because it's like LA Knight made that statement after he lost, and he never really got that opportunity to really get that rematch yet. Because then you had like the Bloodline appear in that segment to make a statement for whatever reason. Nothing really
Mhm.
caught wind of that ever since they just concluded that. And then you have Andrade getting a match tonight, and then LA Knight gets it. Like my whole thing of LA Knight when it comes to the United States Championship is like I kind of want to see Knight do other things, because I feel like he's been like LA Knight's been on SmackDown ever since he came up to the main roster from NXT. Like he's been a SmackDown guy for so many years. And I just feel like,
Mhm.
again, like we talk about with Carmelo, LA Knight needs a new direction. And if Gunther is staying on Raw, 'cause I feel like Cody might be going back and forth between both shows, because Netflix would probably want that. I feel like a
Yeah.
new environment for LA Knight being on Raw would be nice, mainly because it just gives him a new world to explore, new people he hasn't really had any matches with at all in the slightest. And I can't really say that I'm completely invested in seeing LA Knight versus Shinsuke Nakamura again, because if they truly want to keep building this overall presentation with Shinsuke Nakamura, and you got to also keep in mind this is one of Triple H's guys that he had during the Black and Gold days. He put a lot of stock in him all those years ago. You would think if they're putting a lot of,
Mhm.
because there was even a video that appeared like a couple weeks ago of like Triple H going over like how he wants the entrance to be for Nakamura and stuff. So it's like they're not just giving like Nakamura like a new outfit and then a remix of his song. Like they actually are taking his time with the overall presentation of how he comes out to the ring, how he presents himself,
Yeah.
how he pretty much like puts the championship in the ring almost like it's a trophy, and just putting it in the middle of the ring like that. I'm honestly just hoping. I mean, realistically seeing, like, I just don't see them dropping that with Shinsuke Nakamura, like just having the Noah thing happen, and then after that take it off of him. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
hard for me to look at it and be like, oh, they're just going to put like all of this stock into Shinsuke Nakamura and then just rip it away and just give LA Knight the title. I'm just not like super invested in it, because it's like if I'm looking at it from a realistic point of view, I could see him easily putting it on LA Knight again. But at the same time, if you really want this version of Shinsuke Nakamura to really work and go over, you might as well continue it. So that, again, it's almost like a double-edged sword. It's like you can give LA Knight the
Yeah.
title back, but at the same time, what does that really do? Because he's already competed with everyone in that division for that title. I don't want to see a Santos again. I don't really care if Giovanni Vinci comes out in the slightest just because they failed on his presentation. He's a great wrestler, but they didn't really give anything to us to really care that much. And then seeing him run it back with Shinsuke again and Andrade and Carmelo, I mean, that's my whole issue. He's just feuded with everybody on there, main event scene or mid card scene. He just feuded with everybody on there. So it's kind of like maybe you have to have Shinsuke Nakamura go over in this match and just push LA Knight in a new light, because I really don't
Yeah.
see. I feel like I'll put it like this. I feel like there's more for Shinsuke to really go for and discover when it comes to this whole new journey of his character than there is of LA Knight at this moment. Is the only thing I can really think of LA Knight is after this whole Shinsuke Nakamura match, if he loses, that's it. Where does he go? Main event scene's filled up, have a lot of shit going on there. Where else does he go?
Yeah, exactly. Like, what does he do after all this? And like, there are plenty of other people too. I could, make that statement towards as well. But like,
Yeah.
yeah, especially around the mid card, because like, I feel like we're making a lot of changes in the mid card of both in the men's and women's divisions and all that. And yeah, I want to know where people are going and like what certain end goals are gonna be, or like I mean, again, it's not like, oh, end goal and that's it. That's all of it. It's just like, well, where are we leading towards this story? Towards the end of this chapter, to kind of take a page out of Cody's book, I guess, with everything. Um, yeah, we'll just have to wait to see what happens next week with it. I mean, maybe we'll have a better idea. I mean, LA Knight did mention the Royal Rumble, so there is that too. So I don't know. We'll have to see how next week plays out with everything.
Definitely.
But I hope you guys are ready because we're gonna move on to our next segment. But I need you guys and ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you're in the audience,
The best segment of the night.
Make sure to take your hats off. Make sure to stand for your pledge of allegiance to our new president, our new United States Women's Champion of Chelsea Green. Take notes from Corey Graves, who, man, he is a trip on commentary when it comes to Chelsea Green. But yeah, so we're leading towards a match between Chelsea and Michin. And Michin is facing off against Piper Niven. And a lot like you guys were with the previous United States title match and not really focusing on the match itself, that was me with this match. Like, I wasn't really focused too much on it, except for the part where I guess Michin's twerking is now called the long back attack, which just made me think of Captain Kuro from One Piece with his out of the back attack or whatever the hell.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, why is that the first thing I think of when I hear that move? Like, what? Why? But I mean, Michin pulls out the win, and yeah, we're just pushing towards her and Chelsea meeting again, which fine, cool, neat. This match at least got some time on TV, so that's something. But yeah, were you guys invested in this at all, or what were your thoughts kind of going for? Because like we're kind of diving again into the Michin pool when it comes to Chelsea Green. Like, do we think, oh, we've kind of run our course with Michin in this division, especially when it comes to Chelsea Green, or like, is this a good kind of start off point for Chelsea's title reign? What are you guys thinking here?
I feel like this was a good start off so
Mhm.
far from the Michin and Piper Niven. Even commentary, Corey Graves said, no, I believe Michael Cole said it, that they should have a rematch of Michin and Chelsea Green for dumpster match. So the commentary was enjoying
Right.
what was being thrown to us and explaining a bit more. So I appreciate because for this fight, I was watching it, but I didn't have much interest. But the commentary did elevate for me to be more hooked in. However, when it comes to Michin is Chelsea Green, I do believe me and Drop said last week on our Smackdown coverage that we would like to see um I drew blank. I just lost the name in the middle of my sentence.
Well, pretty much what me and him discussed on last week's show. Me and Vash weren't really the biggest fans of that segment that we got last week. Because,
yes, thank you. Go ahead.
Really?
Yeah, we weren't because I get the whole meme thing of her and everything like that, but sometimes like I can't just look at that and just accept and just be like, okay, that's how it is, because like and especially when you hear Vash saying something like that and he normally tries to look outside of the box when it comes to a lot of these things that we discuss on there. That's very telling when you have somebody like him not even enjoying that. Which was a big surprise to actually see, because
just fuck the celebration.
Yeah, because like the thing is, it's like I'm glad that Chelsea Green is in this position with the title. I'm glad that she had that opportunity at Saturday night's main event. More than likely, this is going to lead into a match between Michin and Chelsea Green at the next Saturday night's main event, because I heard that's been talked about when it came to things that WrestleVotes put out. That's like the plan that they have in mind, which, okay, if they want to run it back there, it makes sense because they can just have a sequel to what we saw from the one in December. But like just building off what me and Vash said, like, and this is something that we've talked about before. One of the things that we do want to see with these mid card titles is for them to feel important. It's fun. It's fine to have these little fun moments here every so often, but it's like we want there to be some importance here. We want there to be something with Chelsea where she helps elevate the title outside of what she does when it comes to the competitors that she's in the ring with. Like, I don't want, like, I'm not saying it's gonna be like this, but like outside of Michin, you got to start building like other talent around there so you can help elevate them, so that once the time comes and Chelsea Green drops that title, then you could potentially move Chelsea Green to the main event scene if that title helped elevate her to that to the main event scene for the ladies, just like how it works with the men. So I'm just hoping we get like a little something with this when it comes to like what Chelsea Green does with this, because it was a solid match between Michin and Piper, and obviously Piper was just there as a roadblock for Michin to get to Chelsea. But I'm just hoping down the line we get like other things to come outside of this, because I don't want the title on Monday to be like the title that really pushes the ladies when it comes to the mid-card division. I want it to be equal on both fields, just like how I want it to be the same way with the world title for the men. And I just want the best for them. I don't want it to be something that we look back at and be like, oh, maybe we should have just had one. Like, I want there to be an opportunity where these girls could just do something outside of like what we're seeing now.
And I think that's my issue with the first feud being Michin. I mean,
Yeah.
again, it's nothing wrong with Michin herself. It's again, it's the creative, you know.
Yeah,
That's usually the argument with all this. So
definitely.
it's like I probably would have had them separated, especially, you know, because they had their feud that led into the dumpster match, and you thought, okay, well, that's gonna be the end of that. And then you get the finals of the U.S. tournament, and it's like Michin and Chelsea. It's like, okay, I mean, I thought we had the end of this feud, but you know, if this is just the tournament end of it, fine, whatever, cool, neat, excellent, okay. But then we're still in that pool, and it's like, even like during the celebration segment, it's like, okay, Michin, why are you coming out here? Why are you being a hater with all these like celebrations? Like you broke up Nia's earlier in 2024. Now you're breaking up Chelsea's. Like, come on, girl. Just let somebody celebrate, even if they did cheat. Just let them have their little moment and then beat their ass later. But like, we're still in the Michin pool, and it's just like, okay, can we elevate somebody else? Can we work with somebody else right now? There are other people on the roster that could maybe use the boost. I mean, you know, I'll just throw out the name right now. BFAB's right there. She's not really doing much of anything, especially if the Street Profits are injured. I mean, she's technically a babyface. Why not try to, you know, something with her? She would be a decent like first challenger and all that. You know, that's at least something other than, you know, the same pool that we've been in for months, you know? Like it's at least something different. And I think that's the biggest thing with all this is we need something different to move and push forward, because like Chelsea Green's an act that can really elevate somebody, you know, whether she wins or loses. Like she's always there to help make people look better, and you know, again, to help elevate those people. And I don't know, I just think Michin needs to kind of go away for a bit. I mean, not like away from TV, but just away from Chelsea right now. And if it ends up being Michin to take it off of Chelsea, great. Just have that like months, like maybe a couple months down the road, and then we'll come back and talk about it. So I don't know. So that's pretty much all I have to say about all this.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. But so we're gonna move on now to our last segment of the night, because we have one more title on the line tonight. We had our tag team titles being defended. DIY taking on Motor City Machine Guns. Now this was originally apparently supposed to be the Street Profits, but apparently they got injured, or you know, they weren't cleared to wrestle or something. I don't know what the deal was with all that. Like I didn't think they were injured.
That might be an angle.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's an angle. Like maybe somebody beat them down, or Pretty Deadly had to do something, which Pretty Deadly. I have a feeling. I guess we're going to be building up to them maybe doing something bigger now, because they seem to be the focal point in a lot of this feud. Because like we start off the night with the tag team division with Pretty Deadly being confronted not only by Apollo Crews but by Santos Escobar, who they're all calling them out, being like, "Hey, why'd you guys have to lie? What, like, we know what you guys are doing. Like, everybody can see what you're doing. You're trying to just play favorites with DIY so that way you get a chance at the tag team titles. Everybody's seeing through all this, but like they're sticking to their guns, saying like, "Hey, no, it was Escobar and his crew. They did it." And then they had a fight, and I love the line here. And Vash, I knew you caught it too. I I always get the two mixed ups, but like one of them made a comment after like the fight was broken up between Legato and Pretty Deadly. One of them made the comment, "Man, workplace violence, man. This is a place of work, not violence." Like they made that line, and I immediately think, wait, but you're in a wrestling company. Your job is to wrestle and to fight and to be violent. Like, what is that line? It was a funny line. Like I enjoyed it, but like we also have Nick Aldis kind of calling them on their bullshit. But this all leads to DIY going up to them and being like, "Hey, it'd be really awesome if we walked out of here as tag champions. You guys are pretty good number one contenders. So if you guys want a shot, make sure we get out of here as the champions and all that." So I guess the big question here is, where do we see Pretty Deadly going in this story? Because like they did help DIY retain in a way. I mean, they also got their ass beat by Legato.
Yeah.
But like, where do we see Pretty Deadly ending up after all this?
I mean, the way I honestly see it coming together, I think this might actually lead into like, what is it, like a four-way between these guys for like the tag team
Oh yeah.
titles, just because of how they're setting it up. So you would have it with like DIY versus Motor City Machine Guns versus Legado del Fantasma versus um Pretty Deadly. That's what I feel like we're gonna be getting. I don't know if that's gonna be on a SmackDown or Saturday night's main event. I'd rather that
Mhm.
be on a SmackDown, to be perfectly honest, because it would only have 2 hours to really fit that show. Can't really see it on a Rumble PLE, definitely not. But
Yeah.
I could definitely see it maybe being announced for next week, maybe being announced the following week. I mean, it's definitely something. I can't say that like I said earlier, I am glad that at least there's a plan to get a lot of these tag teams involved instead of just being two groups. There's actually multiple groups being involved. And then you also got to factor in the
Mhm.
Street Profits down the line when it comes to them eventually fitting into the story, because even though we know it was DIY that attacked them, that's how it's written when it comes to the overall story behind it. Um, you still got to do something with them, because
Yeah.
when it comes to the Street Profits, one of the things I like about what they're doing with them recently is that they have a little more edge with them. And I feel like you got to
Mhm.
eventually pay that off, because they're a very good tag team. And I would hate for them to be wasted and just being kicked to the curb for these four other teams. So
Yeah.
that's all I have to really say. I do know that you had some thoughts when it came to the overall structure of the match and how things headed down, which I'm very interested to hear, because I do agree with you with what you stated earlier. But I would also like to
Yeah.
just hear it, like, full out.
Yeah, no. So like, okay. So we have the match, DIY mostly machine guns. It's pretty much what you expect between the two teams and all that. Especially with DIY, taking a page out of Joseph Joestar's line of thinking and running away in a lot of places. But hey, they're at least able to, keep the team separated and all that. But yeah, I mean, the match itself was fine. It's just it ends in a DQ, and I mean, I know we don't get them too often or anything, but especially how the match was, because it's like you had this moment, and it kind of calls back to a lot of DIYs, like tag team title wins and all that, where it's like, oh, you have the double submission in the middle of the ring, blah 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 blah, but like, it gets broken up because Legato and Pretty Deadly are fighting. They go into the ring. They both kind of just fall on one of the teams, and it's a DQ finish. And it's like, I know we don't get them too often in this kind of situation, but it does kind of feel like a wet fart when you have a pretty damn good match end in a DQ like that, And like,
Yeah.
I get it because, again, we're setting up the four-way tag team title match and all that. Like, so I get like the setup and all that. I get the story that they're telling because, hey, this is DIY trying to get out with the titles no matter what. Because I mean, they were fine with it. They were cool with losing by DQ or winning by DQ. Basically, just retaining the titles no matter what. So I know they were happy and all that stuff. But it's like, I get where we're going with it, and the four-way match is gonna slap. It's just, I'm not a fan of DQ finishes like that.
Oh.
And again, it's more of a me thing. It's mainly when we have matches that are actually really good, because like this match got into another gear, and it's like, oh great, we're doing all these leg slaps and all that stuff. We're doing all these kicks, all this like great tag team tandem offense and all that, and then it just kind of ends in a DQ, and it was just like, oh, okay, well, all right, fine. I guess, but again, nitpick, again, personal thing and all that stuff. But it's just like, I wish we got something a little better or just something different. I don't know. Again, I could ramble about it, but yeah, I'm just not a fan with it.
No, I get you completely. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like I even told you earlier. Like, it was a pretty laughable way to
Yeah.
end the match itself, the way that it was executed. But we get it. We need to have them retain, not drop. I like a
Yeah.
lot of. I will say I did like a lot of the close calls within the match itself. It definitely felt like it was
I
heading
did
down
too.
a NXT X match, but it came to the overall
Hmm.
structure of it. So that was really cool. But
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
other than that though, really, I mean, like we already talked about, it's gonna lead into a four-way. Should be a good
Hmm.
match, and that's all I have to really say about that.
Now I'm wondering too, because like, are Legato turning face now with this?
Well, I don't
Because I
know.
mean, yeah, like that's the confusing part too with this. Because like, okay, we have Pretty Deadly, who are the heels and all that. I mean, they're
Mm.
chicken shit heels, but heels nonetheless. You have DIY, who are heels. You have Motor City Machine Guns, who are faces. But like with Legato, especially when they confronted Pretty Deadly in the back, because like Santos Escobar, he's acting like a good, as any good leader should. It's just like, hey, look, we did nothing wrong. We didn't do anything at all. You just said that we did something, and
Mm.
then we end up in a fight with the Street Profits. Like, the fuck, guys? Like, we know what you're doing. We know exactly why you're trying to play favorites and trying to kiss ass with DIY. But it's like, come on, man. Do you really have to do that to us? But like, again, we didn't do anything. So yeah, we're gonna stand on business and we're gonna beat your ass then, which they do. So like, is this gonna be a face turn for them? And if so, I mean, cool, I guess. Like,
Mm.
because that's the thing. They did get a pop when they came out to stop Pretty Deadly during the match. So like, there was somewhat babyface pop for them when they came out. So I mean, it will be something different for Legato. It'll be
Yeah.
something like to kind of push their characters and faction forward. Because I mean, if anything, just like kind of like the LWO on Raw, they're not really doing much of anything. At least last week, or yeah, it was last week. They at least had a good match with the Street Profits to kind of elevate them and all that. So like, hell, with 3 hours, now on SmackDown, maybe we can finally start giving Legato a good push.
Hopefully,
But
because I would like to see a lot of these other tag teams like Legato
yeah,
to actually get a lot more attraction when it comes to the presentation, especially with the 3 hours now. More than enough time
mhm.
to really help build more things.
Yeah, exactly. But Vash, did you have anything you wanted to add here? Oh no, he's muted. Never mind then. Okay, well, I mean, that was basically our first 3 hour SmackDown, which
I'm
I
back.
I don't remember if I said this. Oh wait, you're Vash, you're back.
Yes, the perfect timing.
Ah, perfect, perfect, excellent. Well, did you have anything to add about the tag teams tonight and
No,
their shenanigans going on?
I can't because the shenanigans were shenanigans, honestly. To keep it short and simple, the shenanigans were things that we were expecting, like Street Profits. They're trying to keep, like, who took out Street Profits once again. Why couldn't they be pretty deadly? You brought up a good question. Are they turning face for our boy Santos, or is it the tag team, or is it the whole group? So the 3 hour of SmackDown, they're slowly cooking stuff for the mid card, and they're making it feel everyone is getting their small screen time, and I appreciate that because we saw the report earlier as well. I think a couple days ago for Blair Davenport or other people in the mid card will be having more TV time and will be having more of a presentation. And so far for the first 3 hours, they showed this with including Pretty Deadly. We haven't seen them except whenever they spoke about the fucking musical that I don't know if we're ever gonna see the light
The
of day, and who the fuck
winning.
I could
knows.
care less.
I know, I know. Hey,
Oh,
it's just
pish posh.
there. Exactly, it's like pish posh.
Uh,
But I, I am happy that DIY is having this type of run of heels.
hmm.
I'm just curious to see how long will it last. Because right now the tag team division is cooking, so I'm really curious to see how long will they have the belts on them. That's what I'm
Mm,
really kind
Wait,
of waiting to see.
what makes the most sense was for them to drop it. They
yeah,
do because
But when is the question?
uh, it's hard to say now because we just started off the year, so we're gonna have to see a
Exactly.
couple more shows to get a good
yeah,
idea of where they're heading. But realistically, that would be the choice because you can't just keep pushing Street Profits further down the hole. You gotta eventually pay off whatever is going on with them.
yeah,
So you could actually have them be in the spotlight again. Because out of all of these teams, they're at the very bottom, above people like
yeah,
Pretty Deadly, which realistically they should be on the very top where DIY and Motor City Machine Guns are. Is
Agree.
this?
mm,
I definitely feel like they probably more than likely are the team to get them. We just gotta get more
yeah,
story.
Soon, soon,
yeah,
soon.
exactly.
Time will tell.
Very soon. Yep, time will tell. But hey, speaking of time, our time is basically up with SmackDown because that was everything that happened in the 3 hours. And I mean, overall, I thought, SmackDown was paced pretty well in the 3 hours that they had. I mean, I know I've gone on record saying I am not a fan of 3 hour shows like this, but, when they're paced very well and like the hours blow by, yeah, it's a good show, and tonight was a really good show. I thought everybody got plenty of time. I know I had my issues with like the picture stuff, but again, you're a good show if all I have to complain about are nitpicks. And yeah, I thought they came out, they made a statement for the year, I think. And yeah, we'll see. We'll have to see how these 3 hour shows keep going, if they can keep the pace going like this, or if we end up having those slow weeks too, where it's just like, ugh, we're only an hour in, because Lord knows I know I was having those times with Monday Night Raw last year.
Yeah.
But yeah, what did you guys think of SmackDown overall tonight?
So when it comes to my overall thoughts, basically what I wanted to see heading into the new year for SmackDown, I wanted things to start off with a bang. And that's exactly what we got. We got Tiffany Stratton as the new women's champion, which is a plus because that's definitely needed. You had to do the payoff with that. That was really good to see. Getting more focus on the tag division outside of how the match ended is nice. That way it's not just two teams getting focused like we went over.
Mhm.
It's all of them around getting some focus. Um Obviously getting that tease of the faction between KO and Drew McIntyre is really nice. I feel like that's going to be very entertaining throughout the year. Hopefully Seth gets involved, like I said. And then of course, the stuff with the US title scene, like the mid card title. Hopefully there's something thrown in there to make things interesting, because as of now, I'm not really invested as much because I don't really know what they're doing with it, and I feel like it's a double-edged sword when it comes to the whole Shinsuke
Mhm.
and LA Knight situation. So we'll see how that pays off next Friday. But other than that, I mean, that's all the thoughts that really stood out to me within this show.
Yeah. Okay. And what about you, Vash? Do you have any closing thoughts on SmackDown tonight?
When it comes to closing thoughts, it's literally simple as this. We got our boy Drew McIntyre giving a hug to Cody in the middle of the ring, where even Cody himself was questioning life. He's like, bitch, what the
What?
fuck is going on? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Because it gave people deja vu. 'Cause you know who he else hugged in January of 2024 as well, a year ago? No, I believe it's in February or January was on the segment. But from the picture, I saw it was The Rock and Cody Rhodes hug each other as well during that time. And a year
Mm.
later, it was Drew McIntyre that hugs Cody Rhodes. So very interesting in the segment where it looked like you question your loyalty or who will be your betrayal. So that was pretty interesting. And then when it comes to our girl Tiffany Statton, we've been predicting this for weeks and weeks that are coming up ahead. Myself and Job, when we did our coverage, we said it. Tiffany should cash in. This is the best way to bring the new era of the 3 hour of SmackDown, to bring in the sensation, to bring the hype, everything for this new era. And it fucking finally happened. And then last thing to say is Chelsea Green, please, please, for the love of God, be a good champion. Not saying that you are not, but can you please be a good champion in the eyes of the fans that we could appreciate as a mid card U.S. women champion? That we hope that you become an actual type of beacon for the women division. That's all.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, so hopefully you're able to become a beacon of hope, you know. I believe in you, Chelsea Great. I always have since day one. But yeah, so that was SmackDown overall, and that was our show overall. I know we went a bit later than we have been in the past few weeks, but hey, we're entering a new era, we're entering a new year, and Mania season is upon us, which means we've got plenty to talk about and plenty to discuss, and especially when questions abound, when allegiances change and stories starts having like just little bits of hints of like moving forward or like pieces, getting placed here and there and all that. But again, that was our show tonight, so thank you guys for joining us and all that. Now if you want to talk with us, if you want to make sure you can follow us on whatever we do, anything really, whether it's our own content or if you just want to talk to us. Yeah, there's plenty of social medias out there, but unfortunately, like I'm a bit illiterate. I'm a bit of a dummy. I'm a big old dumb McDummyton, and I don't know where I can find all that stuff. But luckily, we have a man here who again has been doing his best John Cena impression tonight, because you can't really see him right now. But hopefully, that man, known as the Visionary, known as Vash, maybe he knows where you can go and find us if you wanted to talk to us about anything.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, if you already here been watching the VOD, then you already have the time codes in the video, in the stream. You could already jump into the Nia Jax and Naomi. You want to jump in to see whatever's going on. You can see the highlights because we are here to give you the content. And where you can find all the content is the Weebs of the Ring on all social media same handle as you see from the YouTube channel, from the spinoff under the Animal Weekly Studio, or on TikTok and also IG as well. Weebs of the Ring, where you can see Drop This Box reaction of Tiffany winning on his social media as well. You can see our prediction of Saturday night main event, and maybe other content that'll be coming this month when it comes to our predictions for the Royal Rumble. Who will be each? Will each of ours be the same or different? A lot of things will be coming, and a new show will be popping up soon. So stay tuned for many content coming up from Weebs of the Ring, and for all our social media handle as is down below in the lower third of Drop This Box. Mention the Vash and Walkers MW, and we're glad to have Walkers come back for the new year for us as well.
Yep. Hopefully my voice isn't shot by the time I wake up in the morning. But yeah, so I'm gonna just take the time again to thank you guys for checking out the Weebs of the Ring podcast. Again, if you want to talk to us about anything wrestling or maybe anime, manga, video game related, anything you want to talk to us about, do exactly what Vash told you. All those links are down in the description below. Also, stay tuned because I believe on Monday we're going to be doing a
Sidecast.
stream sidecast over on the Twitch machine where,
Yes.
either Vash,
It's
it's
me
going
and
to
you.
be me and
Yes.
you, right? Yeah.
Correct. It's me
Me
and
and
you.
Vash are going to be on. We're going to be live. We're going to be live reacting to Raw on Netflix. So don't miss out on that. We're going to be live throughout the show, and then we'll have the post show afterwards here on YouTube as well. But the only way to find that is check out the description down below, find all those links, do the likes, do the subscribes, do the follows, do all that wonderful stuff with when it comes to following us and hearing from us. And also, we want to make sure we hear back from you by using the hashtag Weebs of the Ring so you can talk with us during, before, or after these shows. And we also enjoy feedback because we are nothing without you guys tuning in. And we, of course, are trying to elevate our game as the year goes by. Weebs of the Ring is presented by Animal Weed Studio. Thank you, as always, to our production team for all the hard work that they put in. And thank you once again for tuning in. Just remember, as always, no stunt grannies were harmed in the recording of this podcast. Have a good night, everybody, and Happy New Year.